If we're actually thinking about what's best for the young man, it's probably the right idea. Albert Breer was on Afternoon Drive yesterday. He was asked about Evan Roberts' his passion to go out, the host from WFAN, his passion for the Jets to trade for Shedeur Sanders. We talked about it a little bit, Danny Cunningham and I yesterday, because I was texted before that snippet of audio came out. I was texted by somebody at FAN about that, and I was like, well, no, we're not getting rid of him. No, we can't have him. No. And then all of a sudden I saw the audio later on in the internet, and I put two and two together and went, oh, okay. Which is weird because he said, you guys all hate him. I go, no. Very, very, very few fans of the Browns hate Shedeur Sanders. I think they're annoyed by some of the talk out there, but I don't think that they hate Shedeur Sanders. I think a lot of them want to see Shedeur, and I think they want him to be successful. However, Albert Breer was asked about this from Evan Roberts, WFAN in New York, by the guys in the afternoon, Nick and Jonathan. Here's what Albert Breer had to say. Now listen to this very carefully, because in this answer, there's probably a pretty good idea you're going to hate because it has no chance of happening.
I don't think there's much of a trade market out there for him. Like, quite honestly, I think the idea that was floated around last week when we didn't know whether or not he was going to be the number two, they should march in there and ask for a trade. It's categorically some of the dumbest things I've ever heard in sports media. And the fact that it was coming from players was like completely mind-blowing to me. I mean, look, he's a fifth-round pick. And, like, I don't know how many times we have to go through that, but, like, those guys, by definition, are developmental players. So, like, the idea that, like, he would take a redshirt year, or he would need a redshirt year, it might be best for him to sit. Like, we've said that about a million different quarterbacks. So why is it, like, out of the realm of possibility, the best thing for Shedeur Sanders personally, not talking about the team or anything else, is to have that redshirt year and have a chance to learn?
That falls in line with something you said yesterday. Exactly in line with what you texted the group yesterday about Shedeur's future with the Cleveland Browns in the near future. This season hitting the field. You remember what you sent to the group? Tell everybody what you sent to the group.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the Shedeur first fans, those fans who we've welcomed to YouTube Live, those fans that have called our show from all over the country, have even participated in the Coming In Hot button, which was terrific over the course of the last weekend. I wonder if any of those fans are now like, we just saw what Dylan Gabriel had to deal with this week with that offensive line and those receivers. Maybe we don't want Shedeur to play all that fast. Like, maybe we think Shedeur would do a lot better than Dylan Gabriel, but it still would not be a great opportunity for him the way they might have thought that at the start of the year. Because you do realize, like, as a fifth-round pick, unlike a first-round pick, like guys like Baker, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, they'll be given other opportunities. If Shedeur Sanders comes in and looks ill-equipped, like I think a lot of quarterbacks might look right now in this situation, like, is he going to get another opportunity? For sure. Like, maybe he'll get another roster opportunity. Will he ever get a guaranteed opportunity to start again?
So I
don't know. I don't think so.
I watch that Browns game back again and again, and I saw the things that now this is, again, I'm going on what Kevin tells us, right? Or what the sources tell us, the inside sources on, you know, his processing, and he knows offense, knows football. Talking about Dylan. And I'm trying to go off of what they say, and I'm thinking, man, he's struggling here. In that game against Pittsburgh, he's struggling to see the field. He's struggling to find open wide receivers. He's struggling with the first read. Past the first read is almost an impossibility. He struggled on Sunday. Now, I didn't think he'd played necessarily bad enough to be taken off, and I thought it was irresponsible and silly to drop him back 58 times in that football game. So that goes against it. But I keep reminding myself, guys, and you guys are going to say, well, Ken, it's just preseason. That last game where he was sacked, how many times on just how many dropbacks? I mean, he took some hits on some dropbacks against not first team. Was it 6 times or 5 times that he was sacked? I lost count. I think it was 5 on 11 dropbacks, for crying out loud. And I think, all right, now you're going to go against the ones at some point. And I don't trust KT Levinson, do you? No. I don't necessarily trust the other half of the other side of the line, do you? No. Cam Robinson, I don't trust. And I'm thinking, this guy is going to have to get rid of the football. And I'm getting worried he ain't going to be set up for any sort of success naturally. And so it's going to take a Herculean effort for him to show that he can be a starting quarterback for this football team. And maybe it would be. Problem is, we just don't have the time. He doesn't have the time with this team because now you're already looking into next year. And so he wanted to play. He's going to get his chance to play.
Yes, he will.
But is this really going to be the best situation for him? Now, we can sit here and talk all we want to about the Ravens. They're 1-5. They have a lot of injuries too. So the grass maybe isn't greener. Maybe you want to say the coaching staff's better. Clearly, their history would say, yeah, probably, right, Ken? Okay, fair. But if I'm looking at the situation here, there would be no pressure on him to come in and play for the Baltimore Ravens or a couple of other teams in the NFL. There is pressure now where I'm looking at going, yeah, we could get 2 more weeks with the Dolphins and Patriots, and then after that bye week, here he comes. Here comes Shedeur.
Yeah,
and you're going to get the bulk. You're going to get the bulk of the rest of the season. And I'm thinking, man, you are not really with that offensive line. I got Quinshon. I don't know who knew the play or didn't know the play. I got Quinshon Judkins maybe going to the wrong spot, or maybe Dylan ran to the wrong spot. Hopefully it was on Dylan and not Quinshon when Shedeur comes in. Because if they don't know the plays, now I'm really not setting him up for success. And so while I don't care for when I saw it on the Odyssey app, when it said redshirt year, I went literally. Like, what are you talking about, Albert? I went, wait a minute, let me hear this. And I heard it last night, and I go, yeah, that actually makes some sense. It's not going to happen, so I don't like the idea, but it makes sense. I want to ask people their honest opinion. Now, I don't take all the other crap out of it. If we're being honest, you've watched this team, they're 1-5. You've watched this team, you've hated the offensive line play. You've watched this team, and you know they're not going anywhere anytime soon. If we're being honest, is a redshirt year the best idea for Shedeur Sanders right now? Should we take special delight in the Ravens and Bengals frustrations? Should we do that?
Ooh. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Just because I've been trying to think about our house, how it's not in order at all.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see Baltimore.
Can we say good. At least we're not the Titans right now? Can we say that, or is that...
Well, we could be the Titans on Sunday night or Monday.
All right. Did you say something about Bill Callahan, by the way, during the break?
Yeah. That yesterday Mike McCoy at his press conference, he's the interim head coach of Tennessee, he said that he was the only other member of the staff they were getting rid of.
Were they getting rid of him?
The way
got rid of him?
He did not resign. I can tell you that. He did not resign.
Did he, if I say that name, then it's going to give away that story, and I can't do that. Did he show up to work and just decide he wasn't going to work, and he said, you're going to have to fire me? Did I ever tell you my dad said if he won the lottery, he would show up? He said he'd show up to work, and I said, Dad, if you won the lottery, this is years ago. I said, if you won the lottery, you go to work? He goes, yep. I'd clock in, sit down, open up a Pepsi, and smoke a cigarette right there in the break room. And I was like, why? He goes, because I want him to fire my ass, and then I could turn around and collect unemployment off him. I go, my God, that's petty. My dad hated his job. Love my dad. 41 years. Hated that damn job. 216-474-0092. Bill Callahan, maybe doing what Ken Sr. would have done. Maybe he just sat there and decided, I don't even know if he smokes. Smoke a cigarette, have a Pepsi-Cola, and wait for Amy Adams Strunk to come out of her house and go there and fire him. Maybe he decided to do that. Albert Breer was asked about this. I'm getting pushback. Obviously, I think, guys, you don't like it, but you can't tell me you're not nervous for him to play. If you don't like the offensive line, if you had terrible thoughts about the offensive line, if you had terrible thoughts about the offense, if you've had terrible thoughts about Kevin Stefanski, but you love Shedeur Sanders, that's 3-1. That's 3-1. So it's not set up for tremendous success. Now, I would hope that they do their best to take care of him whenever he gets a chance to play. But when Albert's asked about it, and he says, hey, maybe you've seen some of the great quarterbacks of this league in this generation. They've had some time to sit. Remember, Josh Allen even had a month off because he had that injury, and it seemed to clear his head and get him going again. You have these guys who get a little bit of time, and it ends up being better for them. And he brought the part of a redshirt year. And because of my complete lack of any thought that they are going to be successful offensively, How could you not be concerned whenever Shedeur Sanders gets the keys to this offense? And I'm getting a lot of pushback on that. I'm going, I think you guys just want to see him. I think the curiosity to see him is going to supersede it, because I think the most ardent Shedeur fans may think he's able to dig him out of there. They might think he's able to dig it out of there. But if you just really like Shedeur, like Jonathan Peterlin really likes Shedeur, I like Shedeur, you can't tell me he ain't nervous about it when he takes over. Albert Breer was asked about it. He says he doesn't even know what quarterback could survive with their offensive line issues.
I think Kevin and Tommy and all those guys are are really good offensive coaches, but I don't know what young quarterback is going to survive in that situation. You know what I mean? Against that defense with that offensive line. I think a lot of times these conversations lack context, you know? I mean, look, there are some guys that are better off playing right away, but I'd say 80% of them aren't. I don't think it's a mistake that some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time sat.
So that is going to lead you to, you got to have an idea here of going, maybe a redshirt year would have been the best idea for him, but
in a perfect world,
he is literally going to get thrown into the fire with the Cleveland. Well, there's no fire out there in the field, but figuratively, he's going to get really thrown into as raging of a fire as you're going to find in the NFL.
Yeah, that fire was almost the Pittsburgh game when Dylan Gabriel got smashed every which way and his helmet bounced off the ground. I couldn't believe he didn't have to go over to an independent neurologist after that.
This is what bothers me. We have that Bruce Arians, that extra clip that's coming up at 7:21 here this morning, where this is what bothers me here. You went from 2 weeks ago, you told the insiders, Pelissero and Rappaport, that you leaked to the insiders that you want to give Shedeur a full week. You want a full week. You want him to be able to you want to be able to tailor the offense for him and give him the very best chance for success. Then Joe Flacco's traded, and now all of a sudden he's the backup quarterback? When there was a lot of fans might have thought of Shedeur, might have thought he was the backup quarterback. A lot of us thought that they would go, hey, Bailey Zappe's going to be your backup, and then we'll see when Shedeur is actually able to start a game with time. Then you're making Shedeur the backup? So it makes me think something stinks, because it flies in the face of what you said or what was leaked just last weekend. It bothers me, Tone.
Yeah, I get. Well, it's what came to my mind when I'm listening to Mike Tomlin say the things that he said. I imagined all along that Mike Tomlin, these coaches, they don't just stick together. It's not just a fraternity of coaching. It's that I don't think it was a total secret how far behind Shedeur Sanders was, and how quickly guys have been getting elevated now, and how quickly Joe Flacco gets moved out. I imagine the thought around the league is that these guys are all these decisions are being forced on Kevin Stefanski. That Kevin Stefanski's not the one pulling the strings. It's not like we didn't say in the offseason, like, how has Kevin Stefanski not gained any power in 6 years in Cleveland? Mm-hmm. And it pretty clearly now, right? I think we all understand this, or at least operating under this assumption that he hasn't. That in fact he might have lost power, and it's Andrew Berry kind of pulling the strings here.
It's weird with the loss against Pittsburgh. I sat there and I go, man, if he would have thrown those interceptions, like he threw blatant picks to a couple of these guys who couldn't catch it. Thank God Juan Thornhill didn't catch it, because I would have
celebrated that on Monday.
That would have been awful, because he's done way more podcasts and way more social media posts than he ever made tackles with the Cleveland Browns. Total disappointment. Another knock on Andrew Berry, by the way. A total and complete disappointment with the Cleveland Browns. Of all the guys, I would have taken T.J. Watt picking him off in pick six, and if I had to. Over that, absolutely. Either way, if he'd have thrown those picks, like, there is something in the back of your mind. You can't help it. You're going, okay, you've lost a game. You're closer to Shedeur. But with every single loss that you have, your confidence, whatever there's left, has eroded. You have nobody has any confidence in this offense. The guys who are playing in the offense, I don't think, have confidence in the offense. And the defense sure as hell doesn't. So if we have no confidence in the offense, we're going to take a guy who everybody in the NFL is telling us while we can disagree with him, everybody in the NFL is telling us, maybe it's some vast conspiracy. They're telling us that he's developmental. They're telling us that he needs to get his feet under him. They're telling us he needs to get in tune with an NFL offense. That is what they've said. Maybe that's just their giant excuse because it's some vast conspiracy against the young man. I don't know if that part is true.
Kenny.
And now I'm going to throw him in there. Like, I'll be excited when Shedeur gets his chance. I don't know if I'm going to be pounding my chest that Monday morning. Or whenever he's announced, I don't know if I'm going to be pounding my chest.
I'll be excited too. Kenny, notice it's been crickets on social media. Now I have to go over to the YouTube Live.
I think they know the truth.
I'm not Shedeur people. I'm not hearing from you. How confident are you that he could come in and succeed behind this offensive line with those wide receivers with this offensive coaching? The floor is yours.
I've said it a
Shedeur
million
fans,
times.
you guys were the most confident bunch of all time. I have yet to hear anybody think he's going to succeed.
They have always the best laid plans, and their best laid plans fall right out the window almost every single year, except for 2 over these last 14 that we've been on the air together. Well, on the fan. They've gone, except for 2 years, the best laid plans have gone right out the window for them. So for this team, even if you are the most ardent Shedeur fan, and I've got the pleasure to talk to some of them, not all of them, but the pleasure to talk to some of them. You can't tell me. Now, there's some people who think that the Browns are putting the boots to them on purpose. I don't think the Browns are putting the boots to them on purpose. I think they've tried in the past to do what's right, but then things change. Then you trade away Joe Flacco. You trade away the parachute. You trade away Kenny Pickett, who could also have been a parachute for you before you wanted to put him out there. Again, you make him the primary backup a week after you said that he was going to be, or you leaked that he was going to get a week to practice and get ready before he starts. And then we make him the primary backup. Tell me he's set up for success. Other than it's just him and he's got the it factor. Tell me with your honesty that he is set up for success. Because Dylan Gabriel isn't set up for success, and he's supposed to be ahead of Shedeur. Supposed to be. He's supposed to be Kevin's guy. That's not successful. He hasn't been successful. There's nothing there that tells me they're set up for success. So it's an uncomfortable truth because nobody wants to hear it, and I don't want to say it. But when Albert says that, I can't help but go, yeah, Albert's probably right. Albert's probably right. If he goes out there, whenever he goes out there, and I think it'll probably be if they go out there and they lose on Sunday, which obviously there's a chance they do it, and then they go out to New England and they lose there, yeah, I think there's a chance he plays after the bye week. If he goes out and he plays well, there's going to be no one on this show who's more excited over it than I am. Because there will Jonathan exists, and Jonathan will be very excited on this station, who will be the most excited. But I will be relieved, excited for his future. If you're able to overcome all this, then the rest of the NFL got it wrong into the best story going. If you're able to overcome this and rise and take this boat out of the bottom of the ocean and put it back on top of the water with everything we've just laid out for everybody, then yeah, the rest of the NFL missed on you, and you're one of the best stories ever told. If you're able to do that. Now, that takes more than just 1 week, but if you're able to do that, then yeah, you would certainly be legendary in so many ways.